spark that'll light the fire that'll burn the First Order down. Come on!
Reviews for Star Wars: The Last Jedi are coming in at light speed. Anticipation for the film from writer-director Rian Johnson couldn't be higher. So before it hits theaters on Friday, here's what critics are saying about The Last Jedi. The Hollywood Reporter's Todd McCarthy writes, "Loaded with action and satisfying in the ways its loyal audience wants it to be, writer-director Rian Johnson's plunge into George Lucas's universe is generally pleasing, even as it sometimes strains to find useful and/or interesting things for some of its characters to do." He notes that at 162 minutes, maybe the film is a tad too long. Most of the new characters could use more heft, purpose, and edge to their personalities. But he added, "There's a pervasive freshness and enthusiasm to Johnson's approach that keeps the film, and with it the franchise, alive. And that is no doubt what matters most." New York Times critic Manohla Dargis praises Johnson for tackling the difficult business of putting his fingerprints on a franchise that deliberately resists individual authorship. And Vanity Fair's Richard Lawson is a fan of how Johnson handles the Force, writing, "The Force is to me still silly Star Wars mumbo-jumbo, but Johnson finds a way to underscore it with humanity. On that front, The Last Jedi is a pure success."
To show me my place in all this.
Meanwhile, the Washington Post's Ann Hornaday has praised for Carrie Fisher's final performance as Leia, calling her work a magnificent and wryly funny final turn. She highlights a moment between Leia and Vice Admiral Holdo, played by Laura Dern, promising it will bring a lump to Star Wars skeptics and superfans alike, as will frequent callbacks to the original films, including a particular whopper that feel like Johnson offering a reassuring "I got you" to a core audience that's been burned too often in the past. Justin Chang of the Los Angeles Times notes that, like Force Awakens director J.J. Abrams, Johnson is a lifelong Star Wars fan, but one who doesn't let that get in the way of doing smart work. Chang writes, "This time, the nods feel less like obligatory acts of fan service than mythological reverberations, signaling a deeper, more intricate narrative intelligence at work." He also notes that Mark Hamill's grizzled take on Luke Skywalker allows the actor to shine. NPR's Glenn Weldon gives Johnson credit for tapping into what makes Star Wars great, without the film feeling formulaic. He writes that The Last Jedi reveals that this fictional universe, in which we've already clocked so many hours, can still surprise us.
Let the past die. Kill it.
And the New York Daily News' Ethan Sachs praises the daring narrative territory the film visits, but slightly dings its runtime, noting that audiences will have to sit through a solid but not spectacular first half of the 2.5-hour movie to see for themselves where the film goes. USA Today's Brian Truitt also noted the runtime, writing that the film tries to do a little too much in its overlong 2.5 hours. Yet writer-director Rian Johnson still turns in a stellar entry that owes much to George Lucas's original films, while finding a signature vibe of its own and unleashing a few welcome twists. And Richard Roper of the Chicago Sun-Times had largely positive things to say about the film, though doesn't think it quite tops Force Awakens. He wrote, "Although it doesn't pack quite the same emotional punch and it lags a bit in the second half, this is still a worthy chapter in the Star Wars franchise, popping with exciting action sequences, sprinkled with good humor, and containing more than a few nifty callbacks to previous characters and iconic moments." For more of what the critics are saying about The Last Jedi, head to THR.com, and let me know in the comments if you plan on seeing the movie when it hits theaters this Friday. And for the latest Star Wars and entertainment news, be sure to click right over here to subscribe to our THR News YouTube channel. I'm Tiffany Taylor for The Hollywood Reporter News.